I saw an ad in the paper saying overseas assignments. I figured a boy or man could get on a ship and work his way around the world. In those days, a female couldn't. So I applied, took the civil service exam, passed it, probably was investigated by the FBI or whoever, and got orders to Frankfurt for assignment. And there were 13 names on this order. And we all ended up in Nuremberg. My roommate and I lived in a house with other girls at, do you speak German? Siebenundfünfzig, 57, Bülowstrasse. During the war, I falsified my age and my identity because I borrowed a cousin's card of some kind. I became known as Betty Griffiths rather than Doreen. And I volunteered at the Officers Club in downtown Detroit. You know, hundreds of guys went through and we played pool with them and we danced with them and we did whatever they wanted to do, right, which was a very interesting experience for me. I'm in Nuremberg, sitting in the Grand Hotel, and I guess you've been there and you know the Grand Hotel, not the way I knew it, but this man, this officer walks through the lobby and gee, he looks familiar. And it was Drex Sprecher. And I walked up to him and I said, were you ever in Detroit? Yeah. Well, I said, did you ever go to the Officers Club? Yeah. And I said, well, small world.
No kidding.
Yeah, coincidence.
Yeah. Now, did you stay in touch with him while he was there?
Oh, yes, yeah. Yes, we became very good friends. I think his cousin, some member of his family, was married to Count Faber of the pencil Fabers. And we used to go out for weekends.
Okay.
And Drex would tickle trout.
Tickle trout.
Have you ever heard of tickling trout? My job was on the banks, carry a bucket of water, and he'd toss the trout out to me, and I'd put them in the bucket.
But Drexel was part of your world there.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an off and on sort of thing.
Yeah.
Nothing romantic,
Yeah.
very platonic.
Yeah.
A bus would come and pick us up in the morning, take us to the Grand Hotel for breakfast, and then another bus, shuttle bus, would take us to the Palace of Justice. I guess we had lunch there, and then we'd do the same in reverse, come back and have dinner at the, and we had to the Grand Hotel. We stayed there the first night we arrived in town. We stayed at the Grand, and we had to walk over planks because the building had been bombed.
Right.
Parts of it were reconstructed, parts weren't. And we had to walk over to planks to get to our room. And we could look down and see the lobby. My roommate, Betty Patterson, worked for Telford Taylor in prosecution.
Did you have any chance to meet him?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Through her, I was fortunate to be invited to many receptions and parties. Once we flew to Paris. Now, whether that was the same trip or a separate trip, we were down on the Riviera. Dodd. Tom Dodd was on the trip. Betty and I made one wonderful trip, train trip down to Rome, stopping in Switzerland. I have a pair of figurines I acquired for a carton of cigarettes.
Neat.
In Switzerland.
Yeah.
As the defendants came up their portion of the trials. And I'm not talking about Goring or Hess or any of the big boys. These men would come up on trial or appear as witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to, if they had already been to trial and were cleared, living freely, we had to find accommodations for them for their dates, their dates of appearance. If they had been convicted of something and were jailed, we had to find room in the jail for them.
Mm.
A lot of it was documents. The defense counsel would request documents, and we had to locate them in the American, Russian, French, or English zones,
Mm-hmm.
and made sure that they were transported and that they got into the proper hand.
Walk in and you finally see in person Goering and
Kind of
yeah. What did it mean?
people you'd read about and heard about, and
Was there some chemistry? Did you feel some?
I not fear, but awe maybe, because I was there, seeing them in person. I was in the courtroom twice.
Weird.
To be completely frank, it was a bore. They said it was very boring to go day by day by day, that there was so much repetition, and I suppose maybe because of the translation.
Mm-hmm.
But I finally thought, this is coming to an end, and I'd better get in there just to say that I had been there.
Sure.
So I have a photograph
Really?
of, you've seen the layout,
Yeah.
and there's a table. I don't know whether it was Americans or, who it was assigned to, but I was sitting there, and the photograph shows the back of my head.
So you have proof positive you were there.
I was there. Yes.
What was the normal work week? Was it Monday to Friday? Type?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of socializing going on? Was it fun to be a
Oh, yeah.
single and 21 and
Oh, yeah. The Marble Room?
Marble?
Is that still there?
It is.
Okay. Well, that was our after-hours meeting place. I became engaged.
Okay. Was it a military guy or a
Yeah,
Nuremberg guy?
yeah.
Military guy?
I watched that program, Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
I could do that.
It sounds like.
I could have done that. No more.
Wow, what neat memories.
The one thing I heard was, don't ever go to a Russian party, because he will toast you and you drink, and then he will toast you and you drink, and he will toast you and you drink. And they've each had one and you've had 3. So beware. Be very careful. Speaking of drinking, I can remember, I don't know who she was with, but Betty came home one night and she's dropping articles of clothing all across the room. And she said, before she flopped into bed, don't ever drink Dutch gin. I don't know what Dutch gin is, but I can hear her saying that.
Yeah. Well, it must have been kind of exciting to have this international.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
It was.